Hello, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 89. Louisa Middleditch, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's great to be here.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. It's a bit tired, but I'm okay. I'm traveling tomorrow, so it's gonna be good. We're going back to Perth.
Exciting.
That's apparently where you study, right?
I do, yeah. Well, part-time in Perth because it's a collaboration between Singapore and UWA. So kind of have to split my time between both. But yeah. Well, thank you for having me. It's great to be here, having listened to a couple of the episodes already.
Oh, good. Someone does. Good. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Louisa Middleditch. I'm a national triathlete, born and raised in Singapore. I don't want to make triathlon my whole identity, but I fear it might be.
So far as these. And you said before you're a PhD student, right, in UWA?
Yeah.
What's the field of study?
So we're looking at how Singaporean athletes tolerate exercise in hot and humid conditions, basically. So specifically elite triathletes and cyclists. So
I might know some of those.
a good plug here, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so looking at how they tolerate these conditions, which obviously is super important, like because a lot of the races that we do are in hot and humid conditions, and then also to have the perspective as to how to use the conditions in Singapore to optimize our training, because we obviously know that heat can give beneficial adaptations just like altitude, and given the peak in Singapore is not exactly very high, I think we're better off training in the heat.
Did you know it's funny because I sell the core body temperature sensors in your clinic, right? And a lot of times when I talk to people about it, they say, well, I don't need that for because we train in the hot weather anyway all the time. So why do I need to measure the temperature? It's not like I can avoid it.
Yeah.
Well, always there. So,
yeah.
But the particular study in particular is how people that are already living here, it affects them, not the general population.
No, so we will specifically looking at the elite population because already fitness level influences on your heat tolerance.
Yeah.
So the fitter you are, probably the better you are already at tolerating these conditions. But yeah, we're looking specifically at fixed exercise intensity, so how long you can go, and then therefore how that affects your physiological characteristics, but also the psychological aspects. So when we're talking about Singaporeans, it's people that are born and raised here and that have lived here, so that they're already long-term acclimatized.
So when they walk outside, they don't think, oh wow, it's so hot and humid. It's
exactly.
It's just an order.
Exactly. And then the perspective is that the third study we might be comparing with Australian athletes, which in Perth there's obviously the 4 seasons. So then we can see, do we actually have an advantage or not?
Well, it's funny, anecdotally, right? Tour of Dintan or even any of the 70.3s, a lot of the athletes come up from Perth because it seems so close.
Yes.
Right? Like Desiree, for example. And they don't do very well because of the heat, and especially for something that might be in August or July when it's cold there, they're coming in, wow, 30 degrees.
Absolutely. I mean, it gets hot in Perth, but it's a dry heat, and it's completely different to when it's a humid heat. Obviously, the way your body evacuates heat it's completely different. So as you say, I think a lot of times, in Asian Cups or those kind of competitions that we go to in hot and humid conditions, even when the European or the Australian athletes come, they often don't perform as well as we would necessarily expect them to, or that you could see on paper. So, hopefully we do have an advantage and we make the most of it, but stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay, so let's rewind, right? So that's you at 25 years old, right? You're a national triathlete. You've been a national triathlete for quite a few years now. But let's go back into, I don't know, when was your first race and why did you decide to do triathlon? Why not rock climbing or why not, rugby?
Well, funny you should say that. I did do both of those already. But I mean, when we were young, my dad was into triathlons, so my sister and I always sort of swam, biked, ran. We started off with cross countries at school, aquathons at school. I did my first triathlon when I was 9. It was at the Bintan Triathlon.
Nice.
So we went there.
Especially there, short of a few hundred meters or so.
Yeah, it was very short, but it was really good fun. Well, I remember the year before that, my dad did the race and it was a really nice weekend. The Bintan Resort is very, very nice. And then my sister and I saw that there was a kids race on the Sunday and we were like, what? why didn't you sign us up? So the next year we came back and we did it. So we being my sister and I, and then my dad obviously did the adults race, and we absolutely loved it. And so then we were like, oh, can we come back again next year? And so then for the 10 consecutive years, we just came back to Bintan. Like that was the same
race.
Yeah, exactly. And then, then COVID hit, and then, we were out for uni and stuff. So but 10 years was a good streak.
Yeah.
But then every year, since then, like just a couple more races, a bit more serious in training, then being in the national team, going for international races, then making our holidays a training camp. But it helped that like Emma, my sister, was into triathlon as well. So we were very competitive. And then obviously my dad, who inspired us and who helped us train and who would, in the weekends we would run on the Saturday morning to like a little local loop with my mom. And then on the Sunday go cycling with dad.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I guess you just went straight into triathlon. You weren't a swimmer that was doing triathlon. You weren't a runner. Then you decided to do triathlon. You were actually just straight up all three sports.
Yeah, pretty much. We did all three sports. I think running came quite easily to Emma and I, so we definitely loved that quite a bit more and did like a lot of track and field.
Yeah.
As I said, like I did rock climbing and touch rugby and various other sports when I was growing up as like extracurricular activities. But swim, bike and one was always the staple in. And as things got more serious throughout like maybe secondary school and onwards, then you kind of had to make a choice. Like 3 sports is already quite a bit to balance.
So when did you realize, hang on, this is it, I like this, and you're starting to get some good results? Was there a youth meta sprint or something that you won, for example?
Well, I think as a kid, when you get on the podium, you're just like happy to get the trophy. So when in Bintan, like when I was 9 and I finished third and I had like a little turtle trophy, I was like, I want one of these next year as well. Yeah. So that was like quite motivating. And then at school, being able to like win the cross countries or the aquathons and stuff. I think as a kid you're just motivated by results. Now when you're more of a mature athlete, you realize it's not all about results. But
It's not.
well,
Some people say. And then you mentioned Sister Emma, right? She used to do triathlon, but she doesn't seem to do it anymore. Is that by choice or by injury or what happened?
Well, she went through quite a rough period with like an eating disorder.
Okay.
And then got injured. And it's really, injuries physically they're hard, but mentally also quite a struggle. And then there was COVID and a lot of pressure. And I think she fell out of love with the sport.
Yeah.
And then took a while to reflect. And then, as I mentioned, we did touch rugby in school. So then she got back into that. And I think the team atmosphere
And competitiveness of it.
it was, she's still extremely competitive. She hasn't lost that for sure. But now she's into rugby and both full contact and touch rugby and she absolutely loves it. And it's so nice to see her happy and play so well.
Yeah.
Like she's incredibly talented. And
Some people is like that, right? That you happen to do triathlon, right? But you could have done a different sport, badminton, for example, but just been just as good because it's just, competitiveness was what drives you, for example, right?
Yeah, definitely. Competitive stubbornness, depending how you want to see it.
Yeah. So I was looking at your website, louisamiddleditch.com, and it stops at 2023. Okay? But the information that I got from there was quite interesting, right? You are an author, right? Published books, you have like actual paperback books you sell on Amazon and tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons is that it stopped in 2023 was, just time. No longer when you're trying to do a PhD in triathlon is quite hard. But it does remind me maybe I should keep that up to date. But anyway, I've always really loved writing. It was always like a bit of an escape. I loved like from young just creating stories. I've got loads of notebooks at home of just like random things that I wrote down. And then, when I think it was like 2012 when I was 12 years old, I was just writing this story, and then it was actually my mom and my sister that were just encouraging me to finish it because they were like, well, it's quite fun, like you might as well. And then I just continued, and then with the help of my mom and my English teacher, we like proofread it, got it published, etc. And I think it was just like having that paperback was like the accomplishment, and it was good. And to be fair, I never did it for anyone else than myself. I just maybe needed that like motivation to like finish.
Yeah, but you didn't start with one look, you got like 4 looks.
Yeah, well then then I had like ideas and I was like, well, I know the process. It was super fun. And yeah, I think, I mean, if I had more time, I would love to be able to do that.
It sounds like me in the podcast. You know, you're starting one episode done. Ah, there, I got another one.
Exactly.
What
if parents want to know?
11 episodes later, I'm still doing 1 week. Okay, so that's something that is still in the back of your mind. You one day you pick it up again, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I love writing, as I mentioned. Like, I'll always write postcards. Well, I'll always love writing, and I guess doing a PhD is good because there's a lot of writing to be done.
That's how. Yeah. Currently, your book is a thesis.
Yeah, basically. So once I've done the scientific book, I'll go back into fiction, which is quite easier, I would say.
I'm looking at your results, and you do very well in the duathlons and aquathlons, more so than the triathlons, right? But obviously, triathlon is where most of the races are, right? But do you identify yourself as one or the other, or how come you do better in the duathlons, for example?
I mean, definitely the reason why I do better in the duathlons is probably because running and biking are my strengths.
Okay.
So when you eliminate the swim, it becomes easier for me, and I'm now finally in the pack.
Yeah.
I think also duathlon and aquathons are maybe lesser known or less popular multisport events, even at the elite level. Whereas triathlon, obviously, because it's an Olympic sport and there's a lot more opportunities. I mean, now World Triathlon are trying to do a lot more aquathon cups and duathlon cups, which is really great. And I think it shows in our national team as well that we have athletes that are
like Arif and Shenjie, right? They're just on Manyun even, right?
Exactly.
They just do athletes, but they don't want to swim, but
yeah, exactly, which is great. And I think it'll be good to have these opportunities where we can go for just like aquathon races or duathlon races. But for myself, I mean, I love all 3 sports. Sure, there might be some places in the triathlon where I struggle more than the swim, but that doesn't stop me because I like to work hard and I'm committed to the project.
You're not a 70.3 yet, right? No, right?
Very soon, I
know. Because, so, but the reason I ask that is because like the racing that you do is still draft legal, right? Which makes the swim even more important, right? Because if you don't come out of the water with the front pack, you don't get into the front pack of the bike. If you don't get in the front pack of the bike, you don't able to bike.
Absolutely.
At the same time, and then the run's inconsequential because you're like a few minutes behind. Yeah. So, okay, that makes sense. So, because then when you do eventually do a 70.3 or a T100 or something, you can work your way through the field because no one's allowed to draft, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something I'm really excited for. That's what I love about triathlon. You can, like, there's, you know, the short course and then the long course. I have always kind of held back. I would have gone into 70.3 a long time ago, I think, because I'm also a very endurance athlete. I don't necessarily have the top end speed, but I'm just very endurance. And also I'd probably say quite mentally strong. So I'm excited for the future. And now I think the reason why I'm focusing on short course, despite its challenges, is obviously for major games, being able to represent my country. And also just the challenge, like it is fun. Sure, coming out of the water a bit behind sometimes is a bit disheartening, but on the other hand, like you just can't sit up on the bike, you can't sit up on the run. Like it's a race the whole way for me, and that's how I like to race. Like, and the result will be what it is. There's been a lot of races where I've caught up a lot of people on the run, which is like super motivating as well for me, but I know it doesn't work every time. And the bigger the race is actually like the bigger the pack. So yeah, it's more of a disadvantage for me. But like when you get to like SEA Games or smaller fields where everyone's kind of just like has to work for themselves, and more spread out, the dynamics change a lot, and that's also quite exciting.
Because you got a SEA Games bronze medal last SEA Games, right? In individual bronze medal, right? Which is fantastic. Right. Obviously, you're trying to get SEA Games this year again, 2025. Are you going all into gold?
Yeah. We'll see what events they field me for, but definitely, I mean, there's a lot of relays this year, which is going to be interesting, and depending on how they field the teams and depending how other nation fields their teams, it's going to be quite strategic. But yeah, all in for the SEA Games.
It's kind of crazy, right? So I'm not sure what the schedule is, and I'm not sure if they've published it yet, but are the individual events at the beginning or the end?
They're at the end. So the schedule has been published. So I believe it's aquathlon relays, then duathlon relays, and triathlon relays, and then the individual events. So
Is there at least a day gap or something you would?
nah,
Because
what
like,
is
like just in my mind, I'm not going to SEA Games, and I'm not, will never go to SEA Games. But like, if I was in the individual, and then I wouldn't want to do the relay on the Friday before the individual on the Saturday, because you want to go your A races at the end, not at the beginning. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's also where the strategy will come in terms of how we field our athletes. But then again, like as an athlete, you just have to be super adaptable. And if we're told now, then we can adapt our training.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, last SEA Games in 2023, I raced the duathlon on the Sunday and then the triathlon on the Monday. So it was two very hard races back to back. But for me, I think it was better because like my leg showed it up on the second day, weirdly enough. Yeah. But I think for other people it might be the opposite. They might cook themselves on day one. So yeah, I think it's also down to the individual. And I think good communication in the team will be critical to see where we can,
and
as a team,
11 events, right? Let's just hope that we do
crazy.
We stack the bills right? So tell me about your training. Now you're full-time. Is a full-time student, or you can call it a full-time study.
I would say it's a full-time triathlete and then a part-time study, but don't let my professor do that.
I'm not going to be this deep from fur. But so how much training do you do? Like, how many hours are you putting in?
Probably like on a consistent basis, probably 25 to 30 hours a week.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it is an endurance sport, so you do have to have that volume. I think there's times where it should be less, and then times where if you're not doing, such intense sessions, you can do a bit more volume. But there's quite a balance to strike as well.
So tell me this. So you probably know the top 5 SEA Games athletes personally, right? Probably, right? Are they also doing 25-30, or are they doing 30-35, or are they doing 15-20? Like, are you doing that much? Is that just maintain competitiveness, or are you know what I mean?
I think I'm just I'm quite I love training.
Yeah,
I love training, and even if there are no races, I'll still train just because also it is my way to escape, and it is my I need to move every day, and like being able to chase goals is kind of just the cherry on the cake. Yep. I'd say they're probably training a bit less. A lot of them are also studying at the same time or working and stuff because, at our level, it's kind of hard to make a living off of it.
Any sport in Singapore.
I think in endurance sports, it's really like a lot of people get very obsessed with numbers, and it's kind of like, they're training 30 hours a week. I need to be training 30 hours a week. But it's like, well, if your 30 hours are not quality training, you're wasting time. You can be training 20 hours a week, and that might work for you and get the best out of yourself. And it's just trial and error, really, because I've trained less and I've trained more. If I've trained more, I've probably broken myself. And if I've trained less, I've just felt like actually lethargic and like I'm not doing anything. So again, like it's good to look at others just to have an idea and like, maybe to have some ideas for certain sessions to do or the overall plan. But again, as a coach, you will know it has to be down to the athlete, and you got to know them, and you've got to know yourself as well. Like,
let's just use Shen Jie, right? She's been in the podcast before. She's on the national team as well. She might get over 20, right? Yeah. And then, but you go to 25. It's just because you're different from her.
Exactly, and also I've been doing this sport for 20 years. Like, I've got a lot of endurance training in my legs as well. So, like, I mean, I think Kristen Blumenfeld, the Norwegians, are quite famous for that as well. Like, they've trained a lot for a lot of periods, so their bodies can...
They're trained during their training, right?
Exactly. Whereas someone who, has been training 15 hours a week for the last 3 months, who now jumps to 30, that's just a recipe for disaster. So it has to be progressive overload.
So then... how about nutrition and recovery? Is that included in those 25, or is it like... No.
So like those 25 to 30 hours, like, is just the actual training time. It's not the getting ready for the sessions. It's not the commuting. It's not the activations. It's not all of that. So it's really that like time training, but recovery, like I've learned the hard way, is probably the most important. Like training is important, but recovery is more important.
So you're training to get benefits, right? But if you don't recover, the next the next training session is not going to get any benefits.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So you sort of step backwards a little bit, right?
Yeah, and I've definitely, as I said, learned the hard way. I've dug myself into many holes before. But again, it's trial and error, and if you don't push your limits, you won't know them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should do this because it's tough, but yeah, like recovery is super important, and I think a lot of people like try to find shortcuts, but like sleep and food is literally all you need. Like you know, or if you get those right, you're already way ahead, and then you can look for better like ways to optimize performance and recovery.
You don't after every run session, you don't put recovery boots on. Don't stick in an oxygen tent, or you need to.
Well, so occasionally I will do the recovery boots. I just think like it's quite nice to have that, like, but I don't do it if it's going to take away from like having fuel or getting to bed earlier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's first sleep and fuel, and then like these other things. But I do, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Of course, the recovery is just nice to have more. To be honest,
how much sleep is enough sleep for you?
I mean, is it ever enough sleep?
8
But
hours.
I do, as a minimum, really try to get 8 hours. It never affects me like the day. So say I get like 6 hours sleep tonight. Tomorrow it won't affect me, but I'll feel it in the next few days.
Okay.
And it's really hard because I don't feel it the day after. I'm like, oh, that's fine. So then you feel like you can repeat another 6-hour night, but actually no, because then you can't ever catch up sleep.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you usually 10 hours next night. It's not the
yeah,
same.
nah, it's not the same. So at least 8 hours I really try to get, if not more. And then I'll probably like nap during the day as well. And if I feel tired. So yeah.
Are you on any particular diet? Are you vegan, or do you watch what you eat, or
No, well,
does fuel work and that's good enough?
absolutely. Like I watch what I eat to make sure that I eat enough. I think once again, endurance athletes are very prone to underfueling, whether that's intentional or not.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of focus on body and a lot of conversations about weight and power to weight ratio and all of that, which, you know, is very important, of course, like if you want to maximize performance. But on the other hand, like being too lean has its consequences as well. And you might not see it now, but you'll see it in the long term. And I think, yeah, just getting enough calories is the main thing. And once you've done that, then you can start looking at your macros and micros. So yeah, I just try to make sure I eat in a variety, but if I fancy a treat, then I'll have a treat. Because life is
You don't weigh anything.
no,
We see that in the clinic all the time. You get the really lean and the skinny, super skinny athletes, and they always get overuse injuries. They always overtrain. They just run themselves into the ground, and then then they're out of commission for weeks, and then they don't get the training, and then they go backwards.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, I've definitely done that before. I think unintentionally, I just haven't fueled enough. And then you're still performing well at that point. So you're like, oh, I don't need to change anything. And then you get injured, and then you get another injury, and then it takes longer to recover. And then you start to question it.
Yeah,
so
and
it's
then
like,
you're revenge training because you haven't trained for so long.
exactly. Or you eat less whilst you're recovering because you're like, well, I'm not exercising. But actually, you need so much more fuel to recover. So yeah, I think hopefully like nowadays, like, cause these conversations are becoming like, you know, less taboo, I would say. I think more people can, just realize
how funny because Regine Go recently came on. We talked about that as well. When she was in sports school, she underate or something happened. And then Sunjay as well. She said that when she was growing up, she underate and she had some problems as well. It's like, just looking at the podcast episodes, it's quite a common theme in the female nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I think, obviously eating disorders is a topic that's quite close to heart as well. And it's just, you just kind of want to help, like, just ensure that no one else falls in that trap. But also, a lot of people are going to have to learn by themselves, unfortunately.
Yeah, and a lot of people stumble and what happened to me.
Exactly. And I think with females, it's quite easy. Like, there are certain signs that are quite clear when you're underfueling. But I think for men, firstly, it's not spoken about enough. And I think it's harder to see. But recently, I've been super surprised because in the pro field, especially like the Ironman athletes, or the long course athletes, I should say, quite a few big names have like had like sacral stress fractures. And when you get to a stress fracture, like that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of male athletes, and I'm just wondering whether actually now it wasn't just females that are under eating, it's also males, but we just haven't seen it. So,
I think in any sport where you results drive your bonuses, drive your sponsors, drive this, right? That's why you got performance enhancing drugs, because if you win a race, you might get more money, right? And then same thing, if you're leaner, you're fitter, you're stronger, you might win that race. If you're like 1 kilo heavier, you might not. So then I'll just cut off 1 kilo, but then you're down 1 kilo and cut another full.
Well, exactly. It's a vicious circle, and at the end of the day, you kind of have to choose what you want. If you want to run the big races today and be done next year, that's fine. And like, and I'm not judging that. Like, everyone can choose what they want to do, but if you want to have longevity in the sport, which I would like to, I'd love to be racing in the 80 plus category. Then I kind of have to take care of myself now. But again, everybody can do what they want, and whether you want to fuel properly or not, then
I raced a half Ironman against an 80-year-old nun once. And she was like Sister Mary something. It's in California, and she was like just chugging up the hill and I passed her, and it was so good to see.
It's so inspiring. It's incredible what these people can do, and I just really want to be there, because like triathlon at the end of the day is also a community sport, and what I love most about races is just being there, catching up with friends, making new ones. Everyone is so easy to talk to, and being able to see like from 7-year-old kids to 80-year-old people, like it's incredible how that journey.
So you've been to the World Games just recently, right? But you've been to so many of these World Games and like age group championships, and I think I've got a couple written down here. World Duathlon champ in Spain 2021, you won it in your age group, right? SEA Games bronze medal 2023, Asian Games Subic 2019, got a bronze medal. You got 6 multisport world titles, right? You've attended a lot of big races. You got a lot of big results. What's your favorite, and what are you sort of focusing on now out of all the? Now you've done all the different disciplines, right?
I think choosing a favorite is really hard, because they mean a lot for different reasons, or I have great memories for different reasons. I think so I studied in Edinburgh for 4 years, and during that time, obviously, like with the studies and everything, I knew I wanted to continue triathlon, and I was always training and racing hard. But like, I needed to prove to myself that I belong, and maybe it sounds silly, but I needed to prove to myself that I belonged in the elite field, which is also why.
Imposter syndrome, right?
Well, so that's why I kind of did the world like age group championships in the various disciplines, because then, it was cool to get the world title, but then mostly for myself, I was like, okay, so I've won my age group. Like, the next step is the elite field. Like, it doesn't motivate me to race age group anymore. So then it made sense, and I was fully prepared to, like, even if I'm last of the elites, this is the next step, and then I can only progress from that.
Even like 70.3, the elites, the pro fields, the worst of the pro field still smokes the best of the age group field, right? It's like the gap is huge.
And then you can only get better, because you are forced to up your game if you want to be competitive. I mean, the first world title that I got in Spain was really cool, because I was shared that with my dad and my sister. So we went there together. So that was really special. But probably my fondest memory is the SEA Games in 2023. Like, being able to bring home the bronze medal was amazing, and I think especially contrasted to the day before, where I finished 4th in duathlon. But I mean,
and they say that 4th is the worst position, right?
It is.
They've done studies about that, but second. When you come second, the person is always down. Obviously, the winner is the highest, right? Second, the person is very unhappy. Third, the guy's really happy.
He's like, just made out to the podium.
I've got a medal. And then 4th is like, I could have done a little bit better to get a medal.
Absolutely. So like, and I had been injured 3 months for the 3 months leading up to the SEA Games, so I basically had a run. So looking back, 4th was good, but it's not what I had wanted to achieve. And so then, like, on the morning of the triathlon, like the next day, I didn't want to be there. Like, I didn't want to race.
Is it the same cast of characters? You see the same people as
very similar, but like most of them hadn't raced a duathlon, so they were not fresh. And I was like, nah, I don't know why I'm here. And then to be able to like it just proved myself wrong was crazy. And my parents were there, and then obviously the whole team. So that was a very, very special moment.
When did you realize you had the bronze medal? Were you neck and neck with someone all the way to the finish, or did you have a gap and you could sort of
Nah, I wish I
So
could
pretty
have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I was back of the back of race, coming out of the swim.
Yeah.
And then with an Indonesian girl, we like biked like hell to catch up to the main pack, which eventually we managed to do. And it got a bit tactical. And then on the run, I just had to like believe that I still had it.
Yeah.
And I was neck and neck with the second place girl. But I think combination of the race the day before, cooked legs, and maybe like when we came into the last like 200 meters, because she outsprinted me there, I've never had much of a kick. But anyway, I think also the fact that I just knew I had a medal, I was just like, well, I'm just happy right now. And it was very special for sure.
Sure. So let's talk about this. I'm sure people ask you this all the time. You don't look typically Asian, right? Let's just say Singapore is mostly ethnically Chinese. You got 20% also Malay, about 8% Indian, and there's like 2% of like Eurasians or sort of expats or not typical Asians, right?
Yeah.
But you were born in Singapore. You lived your whole life in Singapore.
Yeah.
You're just as Singapore as anyone else, right? But just that your parents are ethnically different, right?
Yeah.
But you've always been living in Singapore. You've always been Singaporean, right? So there's not even a question of you came here when you're 20 and then you naturalized all there, right?
Yeah. Say that louder for the people at the back. Yeah.
I'm sure you get that all the time.
Yeah.
What's this white girl doing in the Singapore national kit?
Yeah.
And you could to represent the country and see, like in the Asia Cup, you can probably be a PR and do it like Aaron Kiss, right? Aaron Kiss is a PR, but he represents Singapore. But for SEA Games or Asia Games, you have to be the citizen, right?
Absolutely.
So when you go to customs and you show your passport, you get it's the side eye from the customs officer. What's
this here? Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. You're totally right. Like, I understand why people might have that impression. For me, like, I just wanted to represent the country that I can call home, and that I've grown up here. I've lived here my whole life. Like, I'm always going to come back to Singapore.
And you do the Singapore, and even do the Singapore dream. You studied here your whole life. Then you went went overseas to study, and then you came back to Singapore, right? So.
Exactly. So, to me, like, I understand why people had that impression, but I mean, to me, I feel like I'm just as Singaporean as them.
Yeah. So. Lessons learned, right? You've been doing this, you said 20 years, sorry. If you could go back, and maybe not the 8-year-old Louisa, 15-year-old, let's go back 10 years, what would you tell her? Is there anything that you've picked up along the way which you feel you wasted so much time on before and it's just like got you ahead?
Quite a few things I would tell her. I mean, I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect now. I still have a lot to learn and I still make a lot of mistakes and I'm still extremely stubborn and I don't even know if I would listen to the advice that I would give myself, if that makes sense. But
Who are you? You're not me.
But I would probably say, firstly, like, health before everything. Like, don't ignore the warning signs. Just fuel properly and fuel for performance, and also just enjoy the process. I tell her to not think or not care so much about what other people think, and to just just keep being driven and keep on your path. Because at the end of the day, like, if you love what you do and you're committed, then whether you achieve it or not, like, it's kind of beside the point, because you will have gone through that journey with
you're doing what you love, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If
you can't regret
if you're a mid-pack age grouper and you're still doing what you love,
Absolutely.
it's not like it's not let down.
No, exactly. Yeah, and just, I don't know, I kind of want to say, like, it might sound contradictory to what I just said, but, like, listen to my parents.
Don't be so stubborn.
Yeah, basically. But on the other hand, would I have been in this position today? No, I'm kidding. I mean, the thing is, yes, I have learned a lot through the mistakes I've made. So, of course, like, I think I wouldn't have changed anything. But on the other hand, it would have been helpful to know certain things. Because, especially the injuries that I've been through, like, it's just really, really, really tough. And I've been through some really, really hard times because of that. And obviously, I would not have necessarily wanted to go through them. But on the flip side, once you do go through, you do come out stronger and things seem brighter.
Is Matt Bury still your coach? Okay,
Yeah.
so I had Matt Bury on, and I can't remember, it was like 15 episodes.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said was, especially the female athletes, is having a robust body.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess that's what you're talking about, right? Is a robust body being, do you cross train, and how that helps you with injury, right? Especially in cycling, especially, you're only doing this like one direction thing.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you go for a run and then your feet can't handle it, that type of stuff, right? Do you do cross training to keep yourself, sort of stronger, your joints stronger, and somewhere you doing yoga and Pilates, or are you doing tennis or squash in all the spare time that you have?
My mom has tried to drag me to yoga, and she tries to get me to do like Tai Chi and stuff, but that's too slow for me. No, I do go to the gym like at least 3 times a week, like to lift like, well, I'd say heavy, but all is relative.
Is that due in the 25 hours?
Yes. Yeah. So gym is part of the program. I think it is an integral part of the program, and I think at least once a week for all athletes, like just simple movements, or as you say, like different ranges of motion, I think is super important.
Or activations.
Yeah. For me, I haven't historically been like the strongest athlete, so I've really tried to build more strength. And again, like I was extremely lean before like a couple of years ago, and yeah, it served me maybe, but it also, like on the bike you just need power, on the swim you need to float. Like there's a lot of things where strength can help, like at the back end of races you just need to be strong. And
so have you felt that the gym work helps you in racing or
definitely I feel stronger, and it's also like kind of like when you get a new PB on the run, like you feel super good. So if you like, you can lift like a little bit heavier than the week before, like it is also very
12 reps instead of 10 or something.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I think just for injury prevention as well, just like working micro muscles and all of that. And yeah, I mean, triathletes are renowned for hating the gym, but I think if you can like find a way to motivate yourself, like put on some good music.
Yeah, I think it's also like triathletes, runners, and cyclists, right? Let's just say you're 24 hours a week, and then suddenly you don't have school, and then you have 35 hours to do training, right? For example, they won't to go to the gym, or they won't do this cross training. They'll just do more swim by run, or they'll do more running or swimming or whatever, right?
Yeah.
They'll just add more of the same because they have the time, not think about, oh, actually, my body probably needs to do something.
Absolutely. I think that's yeah, in our sport we're all very obsessive. It's always like more. Yeah. But then it just becomes junk miles. Like what are you really actually trying to achieve in this session? And I think going to the gym also helps me like just release that energy in a different way. And hopefully it helps also for the long term, as I've mentioned. Like if I do want to go into long course, then strength is even more important there. And Matt said it right, having a robust body is probably more important than being
the time that you're injured
super light
is that your time that you don't train.
Absolutely.
And the time that you don't train, you're not getting better. So actually being injured is staying stationary and everyone else is losing weight.
Absolutely. Right? And it's so disheartening because all you want to do is be back out there, and you're just stuck, and then you try and like jump the gun, and it's like, am I still feeling it? I'll just go for a run to check if I'm feeling it. Set yourself back.
Okay, tell me this. So do you prefer to go for a 30k bike ride or a 10k run?
Fuck. Yeah. Well, 30k bike ride is quite short.
Let's run a little bit on, right?
That is
40k and 12k. How about that? Hours.
Okay. If we're in Singapore, I'd probably choose the run just because there's too much traffic on the road here, and I don't really like cycling in Singapore. But if it's in Perth, then a ride. Yeah,
all right. Any freeway or railway, there's a bike park.
It's incredible.
Right? And then every freeway, if there's an overpass or an underpass, you go through it, right? So you just like, I remember once I was cycling, and 60k in, I'm like, I haven't stopped for a while. I was looking.
It's weird, yeah. In Singapore, you stop every like 2 minutes, and then like, I mean, it's great interval training. You just sprint off every light, but in Perth, like, it's just like you just go hundreds of Ks without stopping. It's so
like if the triathletes, they go up the middle of the line, right, and they go all the way far northeast.
Absolutely.
And then they run out of time, and and then they come back.
So you get to the end of the road, you're like, time for me to head home.
Okay, how about this? Indoor or outdoor training?
Outdoor.
Outdoor?
every day.
Okay,
Or the park.
you don't do it. You don't have it.
I mean, I do have a trainer. And like when I was in Scotland, when it was cold or icy outside, then I
Or
will.
rainy in Singapore
Yeah.
or something, right?
But if I can avoid it, then I will. And I never run on the treadmill either. So it's got to be outdoor. Although I must say, the turbo trainer does have a time and place. I think it can be an extremely effective training tool.
Yeah.
But just for mental sanity, I wouldn't say.
For time management, like
Yes.
you can just wake up at 6:30, be on the train at 6:45, do an pump out in an hour, 7:45, you're done. You can't do that on the road.
No, and not in Singapore for sure.
Yeah, or even like you pump your tire,
Yeah.
you bike, and
Yeah.
you go off, and then you got a meeting point, and there's 15 minutes to get there, and it's like a whole bunch.
That is true. Yeah. No, time management for sure. Like the trainer is such a good tool. Yeah.
So it's September now. SEA Games is in December. Is that the next big target for you, or is there anything in between?
Yeah, so it's the next big target. And it has been the target for the last like 2 years. And so everything we've been doing in the meantime has been prepping for that. I think I do have like a few races, like 1 or 2 races that I'll do in the meantime.
Yeah.
But yeah, just trying to be as consistent as I can in training.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess you know the list has been published, or the long list has been published, right?
Yeah.
And then now you've got 3 months or 2.5 months to sort of buckle down, heads
Yeah.
down, and go for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how I can manage my time with like the PhD, like data collection and all of that. But I'm excited for the challenge, and like I know where my priorities lie. So yeah, it'll be fun. And yeah, at the end of the day, and like I think this perspective has helped me a lot. Like when I get to races, I used to get so anxious before races. And like if I had a bad result, like yeah, it would be the end of the world. But now, like, I just see races as like celebration of training. So you go,
that's how I see races
so
as well, right?
positive.
Like,
yeah,
if you haven't done the training, the race is meaningless.
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
you're not going to do well, right?
Yeah.
So when you get, if you know you've done the training,
Yeah.
and you hit all the milestones, the race is like the cherry on top, right?
Yeah.
It should be.
yeah, exactly. Like you just have to, you give your all, and whatever you have on the day is enough. Really, at the end of the day. Yeah.
And then what next after that? Are you like the rest of them thinking of SEA Games 2029 Singapore, and you'll still be under 30 then, right? So you'll still
I'll be peaking.
Yeah, you'll be still there. Are you? So what's after SEA Games in December? What's the plan for 2026 and beyond?
Yeah. I mean, realistically, probably go into long course racing, like 70.3 Marathon at some point. I would love to.
Okay, Louisa, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Is it just through Instagram? Try Louisa.
Yeah, I think that's probably best. Yeah.
Louisa, thank you so much for coming
Thank you.
in.
Thank you.
I'm gonna watch the SEA Games this year with extra vigor because I know a bunch of you guys in Canada is keen, right?
Yeah, that'll be super exciting. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no worries.